I gave myself a 12-month challenge to make the business profitable. 6 months after that, it hit its first 30K month. I have critical ADHD, according to my therapist. With working holiday visas and things like that, you can move to different countries. The blog started because of that. I always felt it could take over Google. They basically created like Google Travel. I bought a lot of like bad spammy PBN links, things that you've actually done, that you have experience with. I went viral for the Google algorithm leak article.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Want to attract and convert more leads? Want to learn how digital PR, branding, and SEO can establish and build your brand identity? Welcome to the Market Movers Building Brands and Links with Linkify podcast. We answer these questions and help you ramp up your brand visibility and credibility. Let's cut through the noise and make your business the talk of the town. We're your hosts, Nick and Chris. Let's get this show on the road.
Welcome to the Market Movers podcast. Today I am joined by the wonderful Nina Clapperton from She Knows SEO. Nina makes over $30,000 a month on her travel blog. She's lived in over 18 countries and she teaches SEO. Welcome to the show, Nina.
Thank you so much for having me, Chris and Nick.
Nina, thanks for coming on. To get started, why don't you tell us about your past in SEO?
Yeah, I started with SEO because I tried all the like visual niches and visual mediums and they didn't make sense for me. I'm not a visual thinker. And really like once I found out about SEO and the analytics, it just clicked with my brain. And I've always been a storyteller. So to me, I blend SEO and storytelling together to create like kind of I know people don't love the like buzzword of holistic, but like a holistic little like marketing system. So I was actually kind of in this law firm job I hated, and I was trying to figure out a way to make my business work. I gave myself a 12-month challenge to make the business profitable. And within 6 months, I got that blog into Mediavine. A month later, it made 10K a month. 6 months after that, it hit its first 30K month.
Oh, that's awesome. I bet that felt good.
Especially with like the amount of people at the law firm being like, enjoy it while it lasts. And I was like, bye, I quit.
That's crazy. So when did you decide to start teaching SEO then?
So I kind of didn't decide to. It was actually while I was at the law firm, I worked at an estate firm and it was during like the COVID era. So we couldn't go to people to do the will signings. So you had to have a witness. So I was on Zoom on these like 1-hour calls of them explaining a will to someone who's like 84, doesn't understand. We have to go through every word 8 times. I have critical ADHD, according to my therapist. So like I can't sit there. So what I would do at the same time is go into Facebook groups and I would just like add my 2 cents. And anytime someone asked a question, I would offer an answer of what was working for me. At the time, I was also doing SEO writing like freelance for a bunch of other companies because Canada's expensive and law firm jobs don't pay as well as you think they would pay you. So I was having some success with client sites and starting to see it with my own. So I would share it there. And then people asked, like they would come to me and were like, hey, could we hire you? And I was like, I guess, I don't know. Like, are you sure you want to? And then from that, I had also taken an SEO course that I just felt like wasn't very good. So I was like, well, once my methods worked and I thought that they were a little bit more together, a little bit more helpful and like less tech bro markety, like buzzword, not really helping you put it together. I just made my course.
Yeah, that's awesome. You said 18 countries you lived in. Was that after you left the law firm job? Was that the blog that allowed you to travel, or was it before the job?
That was before the job. So when I left, actually, I moved abroad the first time when I was 16 by myself. I just like didn't love Canada. So I found this like really sketchy study abroad in Italy that like some random guy was hosting and somehow talked my mom into like letting me go. It was like in this mountain town with like 500 people. It was back when like you didn't have a cell phone when you traveled. There was like Wi-Fi in like one stairwell of the town's hotel kind of thing. So like, I don't know. I don't know how I survived that interaction, but I did. And then I just kind of kept traveling a lot. So I did another study abroad in uni. And after uni, I couldn't get a job. I applied to 198 and even the MLM turned me down, which was like quite the blow to my ego, to be honest. And I think proves that having a degree in medieval literature is not the most marketable for jobs. So I found a program that would let you travel the world for a year, or well, it was supposed to be for longer, or for shorter than that, but I just really liked it. So I kept doing it. And then I realized with working holiday visas and things like that, you can move to different countries and get work and with freelancing. So the blog started because of that, because my family was like, where are you? Like, what is happening? So after I had done did about 10 countries, and then I moved to New Zealand. And so while I was in New Zealand, I started kind of retroactively looking back at the other countries.
Medieval English.
Yeah. A lot of talking birds and medieval dream poetry. That was like my dissertation. It doesn't help you with anything.
And that is a lot of jobs to apply for.
It was, I don't think I applied well either, to be fair. Like, I mean, if you apply to that many, you're kind of just clicking like select on Indeed, I guess. But
Yeah.
Were you
That's
applying
awesome.
in medieval English?
That was your problem.
I mean, honestly, I think I might have done better if I did. I think like they would have been like, what is this?
Well, okay, so you in a job felt underpaid for, maybe a bit disillusioned with the future, and you really quickly started something that was making like life-changing income, allowed you to quit your job and then start teaching this thing called SEO to other people. So what are your views on SEO in the past, say, 12 to 24 months though?
I think it has leveled up in a really interesting way. And I think we have to think about SEO differently. So I always I see everything gamified. It's like the way that I keep things interesting. So it's kind of like the video game is like had a new iteration out and we have to adjust to the things. And of course, every new thing has bugs that we got to work through. Google themselves have admitted like they messed up on a lot of stuff. And I'm not discounting that. I'm not here to be like, ooh, Google's amazing. Like, no. But also, they're not the only search engine. So like, I think that's something that I'm finally happy people are recognizing because like when you just use it in one spot, it doesn't really make sense. And also, I am obsessed with ChatGPT search. It's so fun to play around with. It is, I use it more than Google myself for like my own searches. So that was always something I had said I was like super excited for. And that I always felt it could take over Google because at a certain point, like getting the interaction with your answers is so much more helpful. And SEMrush just released this great study about like how ChatGPT search is prioritizing small publishers over big publishers in a way that like none of the other search engines are, which is so great. So yeah, I think SEO has become, I think it's leveled up. I also think it's become clear that it's not the only marketing channel you should have. And I do kind of appreciate that because I think as someone with ADHD, I can't just do one thing. Like I always need to do too many things. So like I've always had Facebook groups. I've always email marketed and I've loved all those things. And people would often tell me like, oh, well, why aren't you just doing SEO? And I was like, because I like the other things too. So I think it's kind of become normalized to do that. And yeah, I don't know. I feel excited for kind of the newness of it. I know it's super frustrating for everyone that got hit by the HCU. I would say HCUs plural because I feel like there's been like a lot of mini versions of it. But yeah, I think SEO is different. I also think it's interesting. Like I have a lot of friends that are SEOs that do specifically like business SEO, like not for niche sites, not for blogs. And it's so funny how different the take on all of this is. And like, they're excited by AI overviews and like they want AI overviews and all these things that everyone else hates. They're like, yeah. So I just think it's like an ever evolving thing. Yeah.
Well, since HCU, how has it really impacted the travel industry for travel bloggers? We've seen some like get completely demolished, but we actually still work with quite a few travel sites. Have you seen that industry? Was it hit as hard as like the affiliate sites, or what's your take on that industry?
I think it got hit really hard in certain ways and in certain areas, which is the hard thing. So what happened with travel happened in a lot of niches where Google started not prioritizing the newest thing. They started prioritizing like kind of the most unique thing, which often meant stuff was wrong, unfortunately, because like at a certain point, there's only so many ways to answer a question. And so many people had been using that old skyscraper technique of like, oh, okay, say what everyone else said, then add one new thing at the end, which like the Google algorithm leak showed us that Google pays the most attention to the first 1,000 words of an article. So at that point, you kind of it doesn't look plagiarized fully, but it looks like what's the difference with your USP? Why should I listen to you? And I think like a lot of travel bloggers fell into that trap because it's what worked for a while. So that became really challenging. I also think Google massively switched the search intent for travel. I think they basically created like Google Travel and they're trying to keep a lot of it to that 0-click kind of result where they get the affiliates. So travel affiliates massively slaughtered. And I do think a lot of that comes from, unlike with somebody that could have like, I don't know, a barbecue site where you can order all the barbecues and you can just like test all the barbecues. It's really, really hard, almost impossible to stay at like 25 different hotels in a city while you're there. It's incredibly expensive, first of all, but also like, I don't know that one night at a hotel, even if you could do it, would be enough for the full review. So I think travel affiliate reviews became really, really challenging. And then a lot of things too, like Google started adding so many widgets in the travel space. And so click-through rates plummeted. So that was a really big thing. The thing that I'm noticing though, which is really interesting, is a lot of people who had their traffic slaughtered didn't have a significant shift in their income though, because what they lost typically was like maybe a bit of like RPMs from some, or not even RPMs, pardon me, but like overall ad revenue. But their RPMs grew because like the things people were then going to them for were the things that were sticky, were the things that like they actually wanted them for. It wasn't those like, is Rome hot in winter? Is Rome cold in summer? Like it wasn't like those basic things. So yeah, a lot of the people I was speaking to who were like panicked about their traffic dropping, their affiliate income was going up. Their email subscribers were stagnant, if not going up, or probably stable, not stagnant. It's a better word, I guess. Overall, like their RPMs were going up. And sure, some of them lost some ad income. I found the people who prioritized ad income over any other income, they were hit the hardest because I think ad income was hit the hardest. Yeah. And that's like, again, it varies by person. And I don't think that everybody that got hit deserved to get hit, but a lot of people did. And I do think travel, Google's realized how expensive it is and how much money they could make off of like getting the affiliate referrals. So we saw a lot more of that.
It's interesting because travel, I think, is one of those unique ones where time will tell where it will go. So I agree with you. The SERPs now are like a mess when it comes to travel widgets, and especially if you're broad with your search. Like I've just booked a trip for like a very belated honeymoon to Rome, actually, in a few months. And if you just search Rome, it's like it's having a heart attack and it doesn't know to try and show you flights, to sell you flights, show you hotels. So like Nick said as well, we still work with a number of travel bloggers that are doing really, really well. In fact, many that have just seen continual growth like over the past, several years. But it's such curated personal experience content, which is, sometimes I want to know from an AI model how far X is from Y in Rome, or, is it wet in the month I'm going? But if I want to really get like a travel guide, I want to see someone that's got got that stuff. So I wonder your personal experience from your site, if that's a fair assessment.
Yeah, I mean, I abandoned my travel blog mostly, to be honest. I actually, you're going to love this. I have a lot of spite. I'm very spite powered. And people kept telling me that spammy links wouldn't hurt the site. I was kind of tired of it. I'm not living abroad anymore. I'm not very good at selling things, so I like to burn things to the ground. So I bought a lot of like bad spammy PBN links. I bought about 20. And guess what happened? It trashed the site as I expected. And I could disavow them. I didn't really care to at that point. So I have other travel sites that I work on and don't tell people about. I have a new one that's like replaced that one. But that site, even like with getting trashed traffic wise, is still doing 10K a month, and I have not touched it in well over a year. But the posts that are still like doing really well, they are the ones that like are actually my experience that I wrote of like me living somewhere that were fun to write, honestly. Like I think that I was getting a bit bored, I'll be honest, with like the formulaic nature of SEO, and how it was like, oh, okay, just write a post like this and then it'll do well and then do it again. And it's like, that's great. And I'm very fortunate, obviously, that I had income come from it. But like I get bored really easily. So I needed something new. And unfortunately, maybe I manifested this for everyone. So sorry to the whole industry if that's the case. But I think that it's something I've noticed for myself and clients for sure, is that things that you've actually done, that you have experience with, where you're sharing like something that's really, like unique to your experience. Like it doesn't have to be like, oh, okay, I've like gone and become Indiana Jones and discovered something while I was in Rome that like no other archaeologist has ever discovered.
It would help though.
Yeah, it would. But I think it's even like just talking about, okay, like I'm celiac. So like, okay, if you go to like the Colosseum, what's the nearest like pizza place that's celiac friendly? Like just like little things other people don't have, I think are really important. And that's how people connect with you. I also think that it's the people that have multiple marketing channels that are succeeding because they have click data from other places. And they also have a way that like, I think they're just also not stressed because they have those other means. So they're like, oh yeah, like if I get hit, I get hit. Like my audience is on all these places. And I think like that's the easier way to like not have a heart attack at 35 or something over that stuff, and to really build a community.
Mm-hmm. I think the travel space is different than a lot of the other spaces that got hit hard by HCU, because I think travel is maybe one of the few industries where if I'm reading a post, I'm kind of interested in the person's story. If I'm looking up a recipe, I don't care how you discover the recipe or how many times you make it. You've got 2,000 words before you get to the actual recipe. Or if I'm doing like home improvement projects even, I don't care the background backstory. Like those are things I think AI, Google overviews can easily replace, just pull out the exact steps. But travel, you are interested in that backstory and the person's experience because, travel is maybe something you do once or twice a year. It's a big chunk of your savings goes towards that. And you want to make sure it's really memorable. So I think that's just maybe a difference in some of the other industries where I think Google got it wrong here, where promoting some of the big brands that don't have that like personal element. I think that was a miss.
I so agree. And I think like even when I'm looking at things with travel, like travel is also aspirational. So people follow you before they're ready to do the thing. So people have to save, they have to plan. So it's also a great industry where you can have and build a community who do care about you and trust you. And like, they're going to travel in a similar style. And so they want your recommendations on the thing where, yeah, like I kind of don't care where my recipes come from. I'm like, well, okay, I'll follow like 20 food bloggers. I'm usually just pulling up like the first thing that shows up and being like, do I have these things? No, next recipe, like whatever. So I think you're so right there. And it's what makes travel kind of magical is like that it's hard. There's a lot of competition. Travel is expensive, like you said. So like there's a lot of money to be made in it. That means that like a lot of people are doing it. But there's also a lot of room and there's so many voices that like people need to find the voice that speaks to them.
Well said. I'm interested in these 20 PBN links that you got. Like, did you get them from a reputable vendor? How long did it take to tank the site? And then as someone who is still very much in the trenches of SEO, when it comes to Google SEO, are you still actively involved in link building? What are your strategies around that?
Wait, just real quick, clarify on your question. A reputable vendor for spam links.
I didn't get them on Fiverr, but I did get them from an agency, but they are known for this kind of thing. So it was someone that I wanted to test. I won't name names because like, I don't know. I chose to do this. So of the 10 were PBN and 10 were like link insertions in sites with high DAs, but they're link farm sites, 100%. Like they're just, you check all the sites and it's like no traffic ever, DA 80, all the articles are like 2 paragraphs long sort of a thing. So I got them in September of 2023. And then I think it hit in like December, it started like doing something. So I got them pre-HCU and nothing, like they had already been like implemented and the HCU didn't touch them. So that was surprising. It was in like, I think it was mid-December, I want to say, but I don't remember the exact date because it was like, I think the final 2 hit in November. And then December, it started tanking the traffic. And not like, honestly, not that tanked, to be fair. Like it was still kind of fine. And then the March update kind of like solidified it. That site still gets like anywhere between 30 to 50,000 page views a month for something that like, but it was at like 300,000, so, or just under. So like it's a significant loss. It still would be easy to run. It's just that when we speak of travel being like very personal, I don't live abroad anymore. Like now I'm back in Ontario with my family, like feels weird, run a site about something I'm not doing. And I don't really care enough to pivot it. I wanted to start something new, so I did. And then unfortunately my grandma passed and she's the one that like I kind of built the site for. So at this point I'm like, it's too personal to get rid of it. I still have like a file folder of emails from her where she'd call me, and she's blind, but she would call me after each one of them and be like, Malinsky, in like paragraph 3, sentence 2, there's like a typo. I was like, how do you know? What? Or she'd email me like reviews of things that like, oh, in 1970, I went on a road trip here. You should write about it. I'm like, that doesn't exist anymore. What are you talking about? So to me, it's like something I'm not going to get rid of, but it is, it's still there. And then with link building, yes, I'm still link building. I have a new site I launched, a spite site, to be honest. I was mad in airline, so I launched a spite site because I am a very like, I don't know, I need motivation. I'm not the most positive person. So you take motivation where you can get it. And I launched it. And the first thing I did was link build. And so the way that I do that is largely Linkify's method of like getting reputable news sources and then podcasts. I love a podcast like this. I love to yap. So for me, that's super easy. And then a little bit of like reviewing things for different like, okay, like if there's, I don't really give away like what the site is because it's kind of just a hobby thing I do for fun. It's doing pretty well traffic and income wise for something. I think I posted like 5 posts and then kind of walked away. It had its first $1,000 month, but I think that was like a fluke from one thing going a bit viral. I don't think that's going to be consistent, but yeah, it was like I contacted a company that I regularly talked about on the site and then did like a review on their site and then they linked back to me. So I think it matters. I think it definitely like, even if it doesn't, like I think branded mentions are going to be bigger and bigger with AI search, especially as like AI search can use like the natural language processing to understand and reference, and it can add the links for us. But I also think the click data of like, even if it's not like I don't care about DA, I treat it like PR now, where I'm like, okay, you can have a DA of 2, but if you're going to get me 100 clicks, if you're going to like refer people to me, I'm down for that. It's like the like small but mighty kind of method, I guess, where it's like, okay, small communities, like I don't really want to sponsor an email with like 200,000 people on it and an open rate of like 30% and like no click rate. I want to sponsor that like 1,000 email newsletter where like everyone opens it and they're like so ready and they're like, yes, okay, whatever you say, I'm down for. So that's kind of how I'm treating it. I think the big names still work for sure, obviously, like, and news is helpful for that, but I'm not doing news because of the DA. I'm doing news because of the traffic it can send. And like, I know from working with you guys, like that was my first real experience with it, where I got to like track the click data. And I was like, oh, wow, like, look at this article sending me stuff and look at this one sending me stuff. And then often off the back of that, I would get like interviews with different other news magazines or with other podcasts and things that had seen me there. So if you treat it like PR, I think that elevates it a bit. And I think it also means that you're not doing it to game an algorithm. You're doing it because it's actually brand building and business building.
Yeah, and Google knows you can't just go buy it off of a spreadsheet. I think that helps.
Exactly.
What were some of the interviews you ended up getting? Any big publications?
God, I wish I could remember exactly which ones were from that. At the time, I did a couple. I did like a BBC radio interview that was
Wow.
after one of the ones that you guys got me, and it was on the same topic. So I'm pretty
amazing.
sure that one came from there. I've also did like a number of like more local like podcast kind of interviews. So there was like things would pop up for some of the ones you guys got me were for pet content, and so I got interviewed about traveling with a service dog on a podcast directly related to one of those, and it was like wasn't the biggest podcast. First of all, I say yes to podcasts because I love them. So I was just happy. But also I was able to like, whenever I do service dog stuff, I like name drop the charity organization that helped me train mine. I also started a website to like drive traffic to them because their website was crap and they wouldn't let me touch it. So I was like, well, right, we're going to help you guys. They're called Watch My Six Service Dogs. They're amazing. That got them a lot of traction. And like they wrote me after to say that like they got a bunch of donations. So to me, that was like a massive win that honestly, I'd rather that versus any sort of like, oh, I was on like CBC or something. I'm like, I don't need to be there. Also, I think you have to wake up at like 5 a.m. for that. No, thanks.
Yeah, no. That's so cool. And that's real. That's the real deal, isn't it? That's like doing real PR, getting real mentions, and then seeing the virality of the consequences of that, which is like people actually coming to your website, seeing what you're about, and then like getting in touch with you, and then more stuff happening as a result of that. So that's really super cool. Okay, so I got a question. Newbies entering the market, not people that are still interested in making money online. They want to start a website or they want to do something to try and escape the grind like you did. Is it still possible? How do you think that looks in this day and age?
I think it's still possible. I think it's easier for newbies because they don't have like this history. Like it's kind of like entering like the dating scene for the first time. You don't have all like this baggage and like nonsense. So it's a little bit easier to get going. I definitely think it takes time to see like traction. And I think that we usually see like the Google sandbox, they call it takes like 6 months. If you're building links, I've been able to like grow a site within a month. So like definitely build those good PR links. Please don't do the PBN bullshit because like proved it doesn't work. And also I think it's important to really pick something where you're going to like take your audience on a journey. So have an ideal audience. And the way that I always teach it is kind of the way like I learned to write novels. So like I wrote my first novel when I was 11 because I hated science class. I don't know. It was a weird thing I did. And then I like found a loophole so that I could attend a university master's course when I was like, I think I was like 15 or something because they didn't properly put that you had to have an undergrad degree. And in all that, they taught us that like you always need to think of your stories as having a beginning, middle, and end, but you also need to think of like the entire like hero's journey you're taking them on. And I think of that within my content. So when you're thinking of what you're going to create, you're not just doing the like old spray and pray SEO easy keyword method. You're actually treating it like every single category that you're working on is basically a book. And that book has subchapters, and those subchapters each need to have their own beginning, middle, and end. So when I think of like She Knows SEO, like how I structured that, if you come to my SEO section, you're not just getting 100 SEO posts that you're like, what do I do now? I have like created a curated guide for you, almost like it is like the chapters of a book. So we have like the internal linking chapter. And then inside the internal linking chapter, I start at the very beginning of what the heck is it? because that is really important. And then I move you through to like, how are we actually doing it? All these things. And I think it's important as well to not be afraid of hard keywords that like, even if you can't rank for them, first of all, sometimes you can. I'm finding that the SERPs, you have way more opportunities now, but you want to make sure that you're focusing on like, I'm trying to think of the right way to say it, but basically like you want to write about it that way, like Google understands your history almost. Like it's like on a resume, you're not going to say like, oh, I graduated high school at this point, but the expectation is you did. So like they need to have that somewhere in the history. Same thing here. So you want to create like a full little compact story, and then you want to keep people on your site. So I think that's really important. I also think like with starting a website right now with SEO, you need to be prepared to add something else after. So like SEO can be the main thing you're focused on. And I personally batch work. So I would focus on it for like 3 months and then I'd do something else. I would stop and I would switch to like another traffic platform. I was like at a conference once where they called it having like your wifey and your side hoe. So you have like your wifey is going to be SEO, and then you're going to have like the side chick that you're dealing with when you've got time in between. And then that's a good way to drive that extra click data. It makes you a bit safer. And it also just like lets you kind of have some fun and exercise creativity. So I think there's still room. I think it's different. And I think we're going to see it change a little bit more as we move into like more AI search engines that are becoming smarter and smarter. And I think we're going to see like a different way that they interact with the brand. I would also caution people not to like let ads or affiliates be your only income, because like I think it's really important to own your income source. Affiliates, we've seen Amazon slash their commissions. We've seen so many programs close. Run your own like thing. You own that income. So like you are in control of that. Yeah, making a digital product isn't the easiest thing in the world. Definitely when I started, I thought it was. And then I was like, shit, like, what have I done? And now I'm obsessed with it. I like have way too many products. Everyone is like, why do you have all these? I just find them really fun. And there's cool ways you can do them. So like leverage something like custom GPTs to make a product in like, I've made them over there in like 30 minutes and then sold like $1,000 worth of them on a launch, not the SEO site on one of my other sites. You can do so much with things like that. So leverage the things that are potentially threats to us, and then they're not a threat.
So that's like a niche site.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So
that's that pet site. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That pet site is it. And I don't do really anything to it. It also has like a Facebook group of I think 17,000 people now.
Nice.
That
Wow.
I keep forgetting exists. So
You sound too laid back, Nina.
Okay, the problem is not that I'm like too laid back. First of all, it's the ADHD. I'm so high strung. I'm so type A. It's the ADHD. If it's not in front of me, I forget. So I have a calendar alert every month to remind me of that site. So I go with the Facebook. But also I'm chronically ill. I work for like 5 to 10 hours a week and that's all I've got. So in the 5 to 10 hours, you got to do what's going to move the needle the most. Even without that, my rule is I follow my fun. So I'm like, at this point, I'm very lucky. I've made money that like I never thought I would make. I was supposed to be like the starving artist sleeping on my sister's couch my whole life. That's like what my family prepped me for. That's what I was prepped for. Everyone is like, what do you mean you make money? What do you mean you're okay? Like, what's happening? And so because of that, I'm like, my health is the most important thing. I can't push too hard and like risk that. But also I get to just follow my fun, and following my fun got me 2 different 100K months. That was like, it wasn't about weird strategies or MLM nonsense or something. It was just like having some fun, doing what I love. And so if I don't love it, I don't do it. And out of sight is legitimately out of mind for me, unfortunately.
That's amazing. I think that's everyone's dream, like not really to stop working, just to work on stuff you truly enjoy. So I think that's super cool. Okay, so let's talk about, Chris was asking about like if someone could break in, new in this space. I'm curious when it comes to the content creation, have you changed your strategy, the strategy you recommend since HCU? Like what are you doing now? A lot of people are saying like those old SEO articles are not a good focus. So how's that process adapted?
Yeah, so the biggest thing that has changed for me is really making sure that you're front loading. I've always like front loaded experience and expertise, but now I'm front loading, like I call it like the Costco free sample policy of like what the point of this is. I'm not a big fan of those like key takeaway sections. I think it's kind of lazy writing. I'm more of a fan of like a really strong intro, which is harder. It is. So like if you don't want to, it's fine, be lazy. I'm lazy in most areas of my life. So this is just one area I really like, but also making sure you add something new to the conversation really, really quickly. So we're making sure it's super clear. Like what you like, what you did. I think with like the old SEO stuff, I mean, a lot of the old SEO stuff, like keyword density, get rid of that. If you were ever caring about keyword density, fix those articles. Like, it is going to kill you. And I think trusting the language models know what like a synonym is, I think is really important. But I think overall, some of the articles, like, I don't know, some of them are fine, the old SEO ones, as long as you weren't keyword stuffing. Some of them are a problem. So the ones where you used 700 secondary keywords in every variation. Okay, it's a 1,000-word article. What did you actually say then? Like, what's happening? The ones that were structured just to game an algorithm, for sure, is a problem. And I think that's where like having the quote unquote helpful content matters. But to me, it's not helpful. It's Google's looking for new. So what they got tired of was that like the newest article would show up above the person who did the actual research. So what they want you to do is like add an extra element. So like I went viral for the Google algorithm leak article that I did. I didn't break that story. And actually, I think that like I ranked above the people who did, because Google was mad at those people. So I made sure to link to them like 12 times in my post. I was like, go to them. But in it, I didn't just say like, which everyone else did, here's what's happening. Like, here's what this means. I was like, okay, but here's what it means. And here's what you're going to do with it for bloggers. So I think it's always thinking of that next step. And then I think a big thing with old SEO was that every blog post existed on its own. It was one blog post. It was doing its own thing. I think every blog post exists in like a full ecosystem. So you need to think of every piece of content as though it's part of like the overall strategy. And I've always thought that, especially with internal linking, but I think especially now, you really have to make sure that it's all connected. You don't want it to be like, okay, here's this article that I wrote just because the keyword's easy. It's like, why does it matter to your audience? What is it doing in the story? That's what I would say is different. And then I think outlining. You don't have to be as formulaic in an outline anymore, which is really nice because I hated those like things to do in Rome, things to do one, things to do. And it was just like, oh my God, stop saying things to do. My brain is broken. Like, calm down. So yeah, I'd say that's a big difference. I think a lot of the yes and no keywords, like where it was an answer that was yes and no, don't bother. Those ones aren't worth it anymore. If it's something your audience asks a lot, sure, but like, don't do those for Google.
It sounds like Google's got it right then, because it sounds like you can really put your medieval English talents and novel writing talents to good use now and actually have more creative freedom to produce content that Google that's got a chance to rank. I mean, I remember, tools like Surfer and stuff, you just put in stuff in order to make sure you've got that, certain variations, the same word. And it starts becoming like almost like comical to read it. Cause it's like, how many different times can you say this word? To the point where it's using medieval English in order to slightly rephrase that word. Yeah, it sounds like it's exciting times for content producers if Google's going to carry on this trend.
I think it is if they adjust some things. Like I said, it's buggy. Like, it is not perfect by any means. The thing that I like is that this content now aligns much more with the content I would also share on Facebook, the content that like I would want to share with my family and friends. Some of the SEO content, like honestly, I was getting embarrassed, like having my grandma read it. I was like, I had this one post on my old site that was like day trips from Toronto, and everyone else had New York City. New York City is an 8-hour drive one way from Toronto. Like, in what world are you driving 16 hours for a day trip? Like, what's happening? But everyone else have it. And like, I used Rank IQ, but it was like similar to Surfer. So same thing, like include all these terms. And so I had to put it. And my grandma literally called me and was like, what is happening? Like, have you had a stroke? Why are you saying this? Like, what's going? And so in it, I even said, I'm like, this isn't a good day trip, but everyone else says it. And that's luck.
That's good.
So I do think that like we're on the path to better things. I don't think we're there yet. Like, I do think a lot of the search results are crap. Like, I'm not discounting that. Some of them actually are way better, but not all of them. And the biggest issue I have with the way Google did it is like, you have to tell people when you're changing the curriculum, and then you can't get mad at them for still doing the past curriculum out of nowhere. Like, that is literally gaslighting. That's insane. So that's what I have a problem with. I think we are on the way to something better. I don't think we're all the way there yet. But the great thing is that you don't have to like make 40 versions of a post now for all the different places. You can make one great post, have way more of a chance to rank on multiple places. And then you can also reshare it like to your email list and not be embarrassed, to your Facebook or page, or like, I don't know, Threads is doing really good things for me right now, which was a surprise. Like, I just shit post, on there all the time. And it just does stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, like here's another 100 email subscribers. Cool. So one Threads, if you have spare minutes I just do it in doctor's waiting rooms. And I'm like, okay, what's happening?
What is your strategy for Threads?
I literally don't have one.
Okay. Just post whatever comes to mind.
I'm very well known for like not having a social strategy and then it accidentally works. Like I think I have like 9,000 something followers on Twitter. I don't know why. I'm like, hi, what are you doing here? On Instagram, people always like really like it. And I'm like, half the time I record my Instagrams when I'm like lying on the floor at night, resetting my back. And my dog is like playing with my hair because he likes the purple. So I don't know. I think because of my autism, I don't filter things and I don't like understand not just sharing stuff. And also I live alone. So I need to like talk to somebody. So I just post it. And then my sister calls me later and is like, you run a business, right? Like you can't just say everything. And I'm like, well, so far I can. So we'll see.
That's really nice to hear because when we talk to a lot of people and I'm not against strategy, obviously, but to see that you can just, speak your truth and engage and open up and be rewarded with the following is really heartening, I think. Really nice to hear.
Oh yeah. Like it always surprises me. I think like, I don't know, I just carve out the corner of the internet I want to spend time in and then I spend time there and it's been great. If you have a cute dog though, fully put them in Crocs and post photos of that because that helps too. Like he has his own YouTube channel that I do for fun sometimes and like it gets like 500,000 views a month and I'm like from like one photo of him like eating peanut butter. I'm like, what is happening? Like
how many subs has that got then?
That one doesn't have that many subscribers. I think it has, I don't know, something like 2,000 or something. I haven't run it very long.
But a lot of views per month.
It gets a lot of views and like I don't know. Yeah, like I made him like margaritas for his birthday because I'm a weird person, and that like went insane. And I was like, oh, okay.
Like real margaritas?
So they're called pogaritas, and so you cucumber into yogurt. And then like I used to be a bartender, so I also like I crushed up some treats and then like made like a graham cracker rim for him almost. And
nice.
Yeah, okay. I'm like such an extra dog parent, and so it's a good way to justify being extra and like the amount of costumes he has, but. Mostly, like, I'll just post, like, a video of him, like, running through the snow. We have a lot of it right now. He loves it. And you just see him, like, bound through it. And then it'll get, like, a ton of views. He also, like, went viral on TikTok. One time I just got high and put my glasses on him and recorded something. And then it got, like, 575K views. And I was like, oh, okay. So, like, everyone that tells you, like, just have fun on socials, it actually works. And it's wild. It's not, like, going to be consistently, like, oh, you're going to get 1 million followers or something. My thing is that like the followers that I do have are always so engaged. And like my biggest thing is like I love a micro community. Like I do not want to have like an amphitheater of people. I really want to have like the people I want to sit down and have a coffee with. And if I don't want to have a coffee with you, I kind of don't want you here. It's why like I scrub my email list. So I hate being at 10,000 subscribers. It's like a weird thing for me. Once I hit it, I was like, I never want to do that again. Unless it's like the best people. They're like my besties. So if someone doesn't like click in the last like 3 months, they're off. I don't care if like they are reading it. I'm like, if you're not clicking on something like a blog post, a thing to purchase, anything, why are you here? What's happening? So same with my Facebook group. I remove people constantly and everyone gets mad because I do celebrations when we hit follower counts and I'm like constantly removing people. I promise it's not because of that. I'm just like, I want the best people here. Like I want this to be epic.
Do you do that for your niche sites as well? Or is that just She Knows SEO?
I do it for most of them. For some of them, so I was doing a public group experiment. That one I didn't because I just wanted to like see what happened. It blew up. It got to like 30K people. And then I got invited to like host dog-friendly cruises. And I was like, that sounds like my nightmare. I'm so seasick. I get so seasick. I was like, no. So then I just like gave that to a friend that had a site. I was like, you want it? Take it. It was doing pretty well, but didn't need it. So I was like, no. For email lists, 100%. I do not want people around if they're not engaging because you pay for them. So like, why am I paying for you to be here? I am such a budget bitch. Like I do not want to like waste money on nonsense. And I'd say like, you can't obviously prune like page views. So that one's doesn't really matter to me, but it's any of like the community areas that I'm so willing to get rid of people. I am liberal with a block button, not because like I don't want to hear different opinions. That's fine. It's when you're an ass. It's when someone tries to like police my speech. I get that a lot when I talk about like ADHD and autism. People are like I made a joke in an email once where I was like, maybe it's Maybelline, maybe it's ADHD, which I thought was very funny. I was like, that's entertaining. I have ADHD. I'm allowed to joke about my own shit. I got so many, and they were like mainly middle-aged white people coming at me being like, oh, you shouldn't joke about these things, blah, blah, blah. And like someone might actually have that. And I'm like, I actually have that. And so I was just like, okay, well, you don't need to be here. Bye. Like, thanks. Police how I speak about myself because this is, again, my corner of the internet. And so me showing up, like I have a launch happening soon. And like the first email is a picture of me in like a green face mask on because that's how I recorded the course. And I think it's really funny. And I'm like, here we go. So I think it's just good to be authentic and be yourself. And as long as yourself isn't like a prick, you're going to be fine. So, and if you are a prick, maybe work on that first.
Right.
Or you could grow a community full of pricks.
Yeah, I mean, hey,
do we need more of those?
Honestly, there's a lot of those out there. So I'm
Yeah,
like, they
sure.
seem to grow well.
Oh, that's awesome. Nina. Okay, as we approach towards the end then, we may as well touch on AI. I see on Twitter and stuff, you're doing some cool stuff with like custom GPTs. You just mentioned about doing digital products as well and stuff. So what are you working on? What's exciting? You doing much automation, that sort of thing?
I love automation. I am such a control freak. As an autistic person, I prefer robots to people sometimes, which is not great, but I'm working on it. So yeah, I automate everything I can. I have automations running with Zapier and Make that take like any new post I have, automatically splice them, create content for every social platform via AI, and then automatically publish it for me. So
Nice.
that's why a lot of those sites I can like set it and forget it, because I just have to like get something vaguely up and running. Custom GPTs, heaps. I love like cloning myself with a GPT for my own business. I also use them for like, I have a very small team. I made the mistake early of hiring like 40 writers. Nightmare. Worst decision of my life. Not because they weren't good, but because I hate managing people. So that was a nightmare. But with this, it's like, oh, okay, hey, could someone go in and write this post? You just use the Nina GPT and it's going to like, it already knows the website. It knows all of our products. It knows launch dates. It knows everything. It'll write it in my tone. We're good to go. So that's been really nice. Then I use it actually as a lead generation magnet too, which I think a lot of people don't realize you can do. So you can like put something in the GPT store and then train it so that every like 5th or 10th message, it's going to like promote one of your freebies or even your paid offer. So you can create this as like sharing ads for you essentially while someone just gets to use it. And it also gets your brand mentioned in the GPT store, which is really good for you. So like I've gotten thousands of subscribers that way on different niche sites that I've experimented with this on. You can also then like, obviously the usual thing, give me your email. Here's the link to the GPT. And then, yeah, I've been making a lot of them. I've been using Pickaxe recently to be able to like brand them and embed them on my site so that then it's like locked. You can like lock it then in Thrivecart or MemberPress or Teachable or whatever. And then people can't reshare it, which is quite nice. And then you can also like, that one I really like because it's easier, I find, than the actions in normal GPTs where you can connect it. So it's like, oh, it'll email me anytime a student has a chat or something. And like, give me kind of like, oh, this was like the main pain point they had. Or it'll tell me like, oh, I don't know, 10 people chatted with me about this thing. You might want to add that to the course. So that's been really helpful and fun to do. And Pickaxe, you can also like create studios and then sell access to your like whole studio of stuff, which is really fun. So that's been a big one. I've also been coding a lot with AI. I love coding for no apparent reason. I'm not good at it, but I do a lot of like plugins and different software. I'm working on an accessibility software right now in honor of my grandma. So I'm really bad at it. It's been very slow going, but it's...
What are you using? What have you been using?
Usually Cursor AI, because Ian put me onto that. Yeah, Ian.
I've just lost hours to bolt.new is
Oh,
one.
yeah. Well,
I've just released a press badge maker, and I just kept getting it to a point where it would crash, and then I would do it again, and then I put some APIs in. So it's really cool now. You can go in, you can copy and paste like 3 or 4
That's
places
amazing.
you've been featured in. Copy the URL, like say like realtor.com or realhomes.com. You copy those 3, press a button, and it extracts the logos, removes the background, and makes like a press badge and produces the HTML code. So super cool. But it kept getting to the point where it would like crash, and I'd be like, no, after like 20 hours. And then I'd have to like revert it, and then I'd revert too far and lose it. So it was going out of my mind. But then I just got it to the point now where it's like, oh my God, I can release it. And one of the things that I learned was if you ask it to refract and reorganize and segregate the code, it'll do it, and it'll put everything into like separate folders, and then it works like loads better. So just a little tip there if you're playing with the, yeah.
Ariel just told me about that one and another one. I don't remember the other one, but like I've been
Lovable.
going through all her YouTube channels about it now. I also honestly just like coding in ChatGPT, even without Cursor, has been great because it'll do the same thing. So like I coded a Chrome extension for my course where like I have a bajillion GPTs and things for them. So I was like, hey, can we make, again, I like games, so can we make like a little like rucksack that they get to have in a Chrome extension that has all of our links and will link to their Google Drive file, and then like the Google Drive file will auto-populate with their version of stuff. And it just did it. And then it like categorized everything for me and put it into the subfolders, which is great. So I find that like that's been so helpful. It's really empowering to get to like work with that. So I'm a big fan of all of the different ways like AI can be used. I think people definitely try to like overdo it, but I don't know. As long as you're okay playing around with it and getting a bit frustrated with it sometimes, it's worth it.
Well, you've built some cool stuff. I feel like most people we have on, they're like, oh yeah, I use AI every day. And we're like, how do you use it? And then they're like, well, I create blog outlines with it. Like there's nothing very interesting. And then you just rattled off like 10 really impressive things. So that's very cool.
I don't know. I just get bored and I need something to do. So I always figure like my thing is I'm like bigger dummies than me have figured something out before. So like, why can't I try? And the worst thing that's going to happen is like, I waste a bit of time on it. Okay. I always tell myself, I'm like, you could be wasting your time in law school and you'd be so mad. So just do this instead.
One question on the My GPT's ad thing that you were saying, is that in ChatGPT, the My GPT section, you create a GPT, you make it private or public?
So in this case, the best way to do it for this is you want to actually put it in the GPT store. It's going to be one of the options. There's like only there's anyone with link, and then there's GPT store. You're going to select that one. You're going to create it. You guys should do this for Linkify actually, is like have it with the Linkify logo. You want to name it something that's searchable. So I wouldn't just name it like Linkify. It might be like Linkify hyphen or something. And it could be like helping them write, like, I know it's not called Haro anymore, but whatever the new one is, like a script for that, helping them like create a list of topics. Like just pick one thing it can do. And then when you're trading it in the instructions, what you want to do is you want to say like, okay, and say this at the top of the instructions. That's important. Say like every fifth message, no matter what you're saying, say your thing. Then I want you to say, and then put in quotes what you want it to say. So for example, try Linkify, get 10% off at this link, and then write out the link, or tell it to like actually hyperlink it for you in certain words. And it'll just, every time they're having a conversation at that message, I also set it to repeat. I'm like every fifth message, and then do it again, and then do it again. That way it's like, oh, we're talking about like, I don't know, I'm just gonna pick a random example, but like, yeah, like my virtual assistant, like maybe she wants to create something that helps people like name their files. Because like I'm really bad at that. So here's the file naming GPT. Okay, we've named one file, we've named 2, 3, whatever. We're on the 5th. Here's the file name, I don't know, Theo eating snow - golden retriever, whatever. And then it would say at the bottom, did you love this GPT? Want to learn more? Like click here for my free like organizing your business checklist. You click on that, it takes them to the freebie page. I recommend using a UTM or having like a custom pretty link for it. That way you can track it, and then you're Gucci. And then definitely share it with people you already have, because one of the ways that I've found GPT search works is that the more people who are using the GPT, the higher up it shows in that list at the top. So share it with like your existing audience, get them to test it out, get them to share it. I set mine up actually as an affiliate referral for people. So if like that eventually refers people to book from me, that person will get that commission, which is helpful. Yeah, just like sparks there. And then anytime someone uses it, whether they know Linkify already, building brand recognition, whether they don't, getting new people, then it can just generate for you. And because in marketing now, they say you need to see something like 63 times before you purchase it, we're getting it in front of them over and over and over again. How many of us reuse a custom GPT over and over and over again? So yeah, I found it really effective.
Didn't it used to be 7 times? They need to see you 7 times?
Yeah, it was 63. It was 7, then it was 18. The newest studies say 63. I don't know.
Wow.
I mean, I think 63 is like considering Instagram and stuff, where it's like they need to like, see you. But it is, even if it's 18, even if it's 7, honestly, like the more places you are and the more ubiquitous you are to like their whole world, the better. I stopped playing Duolingo because I consider it playing for a long time. And then like that owl died dramatically. And I was like, oh, maybe I care enough about this again. I'm seeing it everywhere. So yeah, like get yourself out there. And it is, you also get a backlink from ChatGPT that way. And it's still a do follow backlink for some reason with your builder profile. So just set your builder profile. You can also set it, it'll send them to your GitHub, to your Twitter, and to your LinkedIn. So you can get even more branded mentions there and build it up even more.
Nina, absolute gold. What a great way to end the podcast. I'm sure everybody is going to be off tinkering. I think it needs to be a GPT there that's going to engage people, isn't it? It can't just be like an input-output. Otherwise, they're not going to see the message every 5 times, are they?
I think it needs to engage them enough that they're going to keep using it. So I have an alt text generator that I share all the time. It's had over 25,000 uses. And the thing is, typically people need alt text for more than one picture, right? While you can upload 10 pictures, you're probably going to do like a batch of them. So you're going to do like 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. But if it is something that's going to have only one output, then just move this up. Be like, hey, your first message to them, because typically, usually you have to go back and forth at least twice. I'd say your second message, put it there. So test it, like do some testing, see what's working over time. Like just like anything else, you have to optimize it. So if that's not converting, what else could I put in? And with ChatGPT, you can see the number of chats. You don't get more data than that right now, which sucks. I want all the data. I love the data, but it's very easy to be like, okay, I have 1,000 chats. I had one person sign up. So even if that's like the same person using it multiple times, probably not one person using it 1,000 times. So I gotta do something. So test a different freebie, test different CTA, test a different space in it. You can even actually do it like what I've done with a few of mine is like the first one's a freebie, then we get to a paid offer, then we cycle back to the freebie, and then we just like go back and forth. And you can even tell it to randomly select from one of your freebies or paid offers and then upload to the knowledge base like a list of like CTA with each one. And then it can just pick at random, whichever it thinks works.
Wow. I think we need to have you back on to go over just those kind of things.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm launching right now is like a course just on this because I didn't realize other people, this is what always happens with me. I just start doing stuff and then I assume everyone else is doing it.
No, that's really cool. We're going to have Nina AI episode special, okay? In a few weeks time or something. Yeah, that will definitely get you back on because that's cool. It's really good to get actionable, insightful stuff. And you explain it so eloquently and just it's brilliant. Okay, well, I mean, thanks for giving us so much time today, Nina. Where can people find you if they want to hunt you down?
For sure. You should head to sheknowsseo.co. I'm there all the time. Then if you want to get my free content audit checklist, and then you'll be signed up to my email list, it's sheknowsseo.co/audit. Super easy. I got lots of other freebies, free plugins and stuff that you can find as well that you'll be able to comb through as you want. And then the best place to hang out with me and ask me questions is my free Facebook group. It's called SEO for Travel Bloggers. That's not what it is anymore. It's just like Club Nina. So I don't care what kind of website you have. I don't care if you have a website yet. Come join me there. And that's where like I post daily tips. I post cute photos of my dog and I answer literally every question in there. It takes up most of my life at this point. So it's a great place to hang with me.
Okay. Well, Nina, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye. And that wraps up this episode of Market Movers, Building Brands and Links with Linkify. Big thanks to our parent company, Linkify, the wizards behind turning ambitious businesses into standout brands. Hit up our website at linkify.io and take the first steps towards brand greatness. Big shout out to Fame for making this podcast possible. Thanks for listening, folks. Stick around for more insights in our next episode. Catch you later.